So, shall we begin? Shall we begin? Nah, shout out to Hassan Campbell, man. Hassan Campbell is a good YouTuber on YouTube where he has nothing but the raw, honest truth on his channel. And he's famous for saying he got his TV turned off. Well, apparently, over the past weekend, Sunday, Hassan was triggered by hearing about the controversial Cassie and Puffy, lawsuit payout and civil lawsuit, and she walked away with her millions and millions of dollars. Hassan Campbell felt triggered by that because allegedly, when he was running with Afrikan Bambaataa with the Zulu Nation in the 90s, Afrikan Bambaataa molested him allegedly. All right. So, he was going through his whole mental health breakdown. He went back to his, stomping grounds where he grew up at, which was Bronx River Projects. He went there Sunday and he was having a mental health breakdown. This morning when I woke up, I seen on Choke No Jokes Instagram page where Hassan was holding a pocket knife behind his back, and he was out there screaming, shouting, and yelling, going through his mental health breakdown. Instead of people, saying, yo, Hassan, come on, man. We know you. We love you. Don't do this. Take the knife. Take it out your hand, bro. Come on. Give him a hug, though. Tell him, like, yo, you need help, bro. We need to get you to some serious therapy. Also, I feel like at this point, Hassan Campbell, you gotta go and get a civil lawsuit. I mean, you may not want his abuse. He may not want his abuser arrested. It's very hard for a black man to come to a platform and tell people that he was molested or he was REPED. It's very hard for black men to do that. Some of them, would rather end their lives before they admit that they was molested or they was raped at a young age. Okay, it's very difficult for black men to do this, or any man overall. It's hard for a man to admit as a child or growing up this particular person molested them or took their their manhood. It takes a lot of courage to do that. So I really, want to say, listen, you got my support on that. You know what I mean? As a child of a person that went through molestation and RAPE, yo, I'm with you on that. You know what I mean? I'm with you with spreading awareness about this because it needs to be talked about. But we, as people, as victims, we got to get help. You got to get therapy. And it's going to take a lifetime for him to get through this. He's never going to get through, but it gets better if you get the help you need. And Hassan Campbell, he's maybe that kind of person. He's too prideful to go get a therapist and talk about his trauma. You know what I mean? Some men don't want to get therapy, and they don't realize that as you get older, it continues. If you allow it to continue to trigger you, you're going to lash out in so many ways. So when he went to Bronx River Sunday, someone in that project, they opened fire on Hassan Campbell, and they sent him a hot one. Was it to end his life? Maybe, maybe not. Or was it to give him a warning? They didn't have to do that, but I'm not too sure who he was making a threat at. You know what I mean? So just so happened this morning, his family came to the platform and said he's recovering. He's making a full recovery. They took the bullet out. So he's going to be just fine. It's not life-threatening. But at this point, he's going to have another, aggression on top of him, dealing with that. Going back to his old neighborhood, his stomping grounds we grew up at, dealing with the fact that someone tried to take his life. So, he's came so far and done so much where he was able to move his family out of Bronx River Projects. He got his family a house. They are living decent and well. So now he's still able to use his platform and continue to be the voice of the voiceless. And that's what I would say about Hassan. He is the voice of a lot of voiceless people. Like he said, he was rolling with a lot of bloods. You know what I mean? I'm not too sure if he's still a gang member, allegedly. He was about that life. And he changed a lot of his ways because he don't want to go back to jail. And I understand that. But along with prison, after being, under that type of hostile, toxic, and violent environment, a lot of them refuse to get released from prison and they don't want to get therapy. That's something that they are totally against. For some reason, men that come out of federal prison or either state penitentiaries, they don't want to get therapy. That's something that it doesn't really feel right with them. They don't want to go and address their problems or their issues and what demons they're fighting, but you have to understand people lash out in certain ways and they triggered in certain ways. So you have to understand where he's coming from. His mental health was being triggered. and he was having a mental health breakdown at that moment. Instead of somebody going to him like, yo, Hassan, bro, come on, man, put that down, bro. What's going on with you, bro? Let me give you a hug first. First and foremost, what's going on with you? And that's how we need to handle our people. We don't need to handle our people by triggering them and opening fire and putting a hot one on them or ending their life where they got to go to the morgue and cemetery just because we needed to silence them. You know, how many times can we just say, you know what? Let's talk this out. You know what I mean? Let's find out what's really going on. But, you know, Hassan has triggered a lot of people as well with his platform. A lot of people have been triggered by Hassan. They took his channel at a time because of the fact that they felt like Hassan was very, you know, he was very boisterous, but at the same time, he was very heartless and ruthless at times with his message. So a lot of times people was very disgruntled with him. You know what I mean? They had a real serious, you know, kind of personal vendetta against him. So Hassan continues to spread his awareness, continues to be the voice of the voiceless. But I think that if Hassan takes action on Afrikan Bambaataa and starts the civil procedures with getting his just due and getting some type of compensation, I think that he would kind of be satisfied with the outcome. But he has to start somewhere. You know, going to Bronx River, yo, I'm outside. I'm always here. I'm here. Yeah, that could be good, but some ways, somehow or another, you don't know who's doing what at that moment. You know what I mean? So he still got to walk as if he got to be careful walking these streets. Hassan Campbell, he's a thoroughbred, don't get me wrong. But, you know, some people are still around living that kind of life. You know what I'm saying? Not saying Hassan can't, but at this point, he really wants some help. He needs help, but his kind of help might be him starting a civil lawsuit that he needs to start against Afrikan Bambaataa, you know, from taking his manhood while he was running with them in the Zulu Nation in the 90s. And I'm talking about not the trap hip-hop. I'm talking about the conscious hip-hop that saved lives and helped communities and taught you something. You gave you the knowledge. It fed your brain. You didn't walk away, you know, mindless or soulless. You felt empty after walking away hearing the lyrics. These are people that was educating the people and feeding the brain during the hip-hop conscious rap. It wasn't about violence and hurting people, taking people, mothers, and throwing them off the roof and ending lives and robbing and stealing and selling crack cocaine and heroin to the people. It wasn't that kind of hip-hop with the Zulu Nation and Afrikan Bambaataa. But he has to get the help, and if he doesn't want to get the help, he needs to get the therapy or start the process of suing Afrikan Bambaataa and getting some compensation from Afrikan Bambaataa and the Zulu Nation. So Hassan is now recovering in the hospital. They was able to remove the bullet out of him. And, you know, he's doing better. So now he's still there, and they got him, you know, they're still monitoring him, his vital signs, making sure he's all right. He had enough strength to drive himself out of Bronx River Projects and go to the hospital and take himself and send himself to the ER because of a bullet that was somewhere in his body. I'm not too sure where that he was shot at. But, you know, let's continue to send our healing angels to Hassan and pray that he gets better with his mental health and get the justice and, you know, the services that he needs for himself, and hopefully he's satisfied with that outcome because he needs help, mental health help as well, and he needs to go after Afrikan Bambaataa, see if he can get compensation for his closure. Until then, he's going to continue to lash out, but sometimes you just got to take that move and move forward and go to that civil court and get the justice you need. Maybe he'll be satisfied with the outcome. But like I said, you know, shout out to Hassan. Let's pray for his mental health. Send some healing angels his way. Hopefully he gets the help he needs, and don't let the monster in him destroy him. You're not a prisoner of your stereotype. You've able to go out and move your family out of Bronx River Projects and get you a house. And that's a blessing itself. But let's continue to, you know, spread mental health suicide awareness. Once again, let's continue to spread mental health suicide awareness in the Black community.